Good evening. Hope everybody, pardon me, hope everybody's doing all right. Fun times. A lot of interesting stuff in the news today. One of the articles, the one we're going to start out with, holy cow. I don't even know what to think on that. But I want to talk a little bit about the headline, or the title of the show, if you will. And it's not a subject that I've never talked about before. But I saw a video earlier that inspired me to speak on this. Because I think we have to be careful about getting too wrapped up in traditions and symbolism, just as the title indicates. You know, you often hear me throw a fit around the 4th of July because many people plan to go out and barbecue and have a few drinks or whatever the case may be. Shoot off fireworks, whatever it is that you do. And while there's nothing wrong with celebrating, absolutely not, I don't feel right celebrating if what it is that we're celebrating isn't a reality. At that point, all it is tradition and symbolism. We, in reality, should not be celebrating the 4th of July until we fix this, or at least start making an attempt to fix this. And I think we make a mistake by just glossing over it, shoving everything under the rug, and just saying, oh, hell with it. 4th of July, America. What's the point? I don't think that continuing to deny what has become of our country is going to help us improve it. And, you know, there was a Thanksgiving picture on the thumbnail. And, you know, yeah, it did so happen that other video was related to Thanksgiving in particular, but I don't get, you know, there are some things that, depending on your particular situation, you just may need to change, and traditions are some of those things. For instance, this year, if you're someone who is falling on hard times, especially with all the craziness going on, and you can't afford a dinner, or you can't afford the trip to go out of state to family, or whatever it is that you do, I don't think you should put your life in jeopardy. And when I say that, I don't mean your breathing, your heart beating. I'm talking about like your financial situation or what have you, okay? Let me just throw a hypothetical out there that has to do with finances, but in a roundabout sort of way. So let's say you got a car, and that car's got issues. Let's say you're not necessarily so great with working on cars or diagnosing their issues. And let's say that you go ahead and decide to take the trip 3 states away to go see family for Thanksgiving, knowing that your car has some issues. Well, if you didn't have the money to fix the car before you left on the trip, how are you going to have the money to not only fix the car, but have it towed back home from trying to take the trip? It's just one of a million different things that can happen. Hey, I've learned this the hard way. The hard way. And sometimes you just have to be a little bit more realistic about your wants and needs. Right now in this nation, I think we really need to all tighten our belts when it comes to our wants and needs. Now, when I'm saying that, I'm not saying, oh, we all need to sacrifice, blah, blah, no. But we need to start paying really close attention to what our priorities are. And we really need to focus on our actions and words matching. Right? Feel kind of odd on the 4th of July going into the supermarket with a mask on, wearing your American flag shirt and American flag shorts and American flag Crocs to buy your Budweiser. I think it's funny. I enjoy fireworks. I enjoy lighting off fireworks. Yeah, watching them's okay. I'm getting old enough that watching them's okay. In the younger years, of course, there was no fun in watching them when you could set them off. But I'm older now and slower and, been bit by a rocket or two. It's, I just really think we need to take a real good look and make sure that what we are doing is a clear representation of what's going on. And I know I pick on the 4th of July a lot because that's an easy target. Maybe if there were more people speaking like this around the 4th of July, and maybe if there were more people, making it known, hey, look, no, I'm not going to barbecue. I'm not going to party. No. Why? Because what is it that it's supposed to be celebrating? And can we truly say that when our children can't even sell lemonade in our front yard, that we are a free nation? I think not. When we can have situations like child sex trafficking and a client list withheld from anybody that would make something happen because of it, we really need to stop celebrating that nation until we make it something that can be celebrated. And we can do that. That is within the scope of our capability. Didn't say it'd be pretty. I'm not going to go into details. But if we wanted to do it, we'd damn well do it. We could damn well do it. Just depends on where we put our priorities, I guess. I have a feeling that soon enough we will have less and less choice about where we can put our priorities. I have a feeling there's a day of reckoning upon us. I have a feeling it's going to be pretty damn soon. Make sure you're direct with your messaging, with your intent, with your motive, with your purpose. Got a hell of a road coming, folks. Hell of a road. got an article here that when I saw it, yeah, I gotta say my jaw dropped open. May or may not mean anything to you, but that's kind of a big thing with me. U.S. scientists create new lethal COVID variant. Read that again slowly. Scientists at Boston University claim to have created a new variant of COVID-19 with an 80% mortality rate by combining the highly transmissible Omicron variant of the coronavirus with the original Wuhan strain. The research, which echoes experiments thought to have created the virus in the first place, has caused outrage. You don't say. In a research paper published last week, the scientists explained that they isolated the spike protein of the Omicron variant and combined it with the backbone of the original strain that circulated in early 2020. This created a virus that robustly escapes vaccine-induced immunity and inflicts serious disease on laboratory mice, 80% of whom died during testing, the paper stated. While the team admitted that their mutant strain would likely be less deadly in humans than mice, they found that it produced 5 times as many virus particles in lab-grown human lung cells when compared to the Omicron variant. The paper has yet to be peer-reviewed. The news of the research caused outrage online, as it's widely believed that similar gain-of-function research, a term describing the altercation of a pathogen to enhance its potency, at the Wuhan Institute of Virology in China, led to the global COVID-19 pandemic. The U.S. funded such research at the Wuhan Institute, although it is still unclear whether the specific coronavirus that caused the pandemic originated in the lab. This should be totally forbidden. It's playing with fire, former Israel Institute for Biological Research and head Shmuel Shapira said of the Boston experiments. How many times did virologists say that they were not making chimeric SARS viruses more deadly? How many? Reporter Paul Thacker tweeted. The Boston team aren't the only scientists returning to potentially dangerous research in the aftermath of the pandemic. EcoHealth Alliance, the private company responsible for much of the Wuhan Institute's pre-2020 gain-of-function research, was awarded with a $650,000 grant by the U.S. last month to study the potential for future bat coronavirus emergence in Myanmar, Laos, and Vietnam. Lovely, isn't it? This is insane. Literally, the same thing that caused the whole COVID-19. It's insane. Yes, I absolutely can link you to that. There you go, brother. Yeah, I mean, this is just insane. You're welcome. Yeah, that's insane. Absolutely mind-blowing. You know, and I guarantee if you were to ask Fauci now, I know, Fauci, if you were to ask him now about gain-of-function research and whether he was oh no, I was never involved in gain-of-function research. No, I was working with weasels. You know what I mean? I mean, crazy. Now they're flat out telling you they're doing it. And this is one of those things that you're probably not going to hear much in American media. However, you won't hear it for very long in any media. Guaranteed on that. Probably be the only time you hear anything of it. Well, that is until U.S. on brink of recession, says Wall Street Journal. I've got, insane. I guess before we get into that kind of BS, let's deal with this BS. Well, this ain't BS. This is hilarious. Joe Biden booed by crowd in Joe Biden's home state. And there's videos, right? So, hey, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Let's see what video is worth. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the crowd wasn't cheering, and you know, that's funny. I mean, that's, you know, I laugh because it is funny, but that's the divide that I was speaking about. I laugh because I think it's all stupid. I think absolutely every bit of it's stupid. You know, what am I supposed to do? Crazy. Anyway, I figured we'd get that out of the way because we're going to kind of be on a trend for the rest of the tabs that I have open. Spoiler alert. Oh yeah, I have no idea. I don't watch stuff like that, so I don't know if they. I figure they probably didn't. At least not nationally. That might have went out on a local or something, but yeah, they're pretty quick to nix stuff like that. But you know, that's just like that video of Biden saying those very odd things to that young girl. You know, to see Secret Service, you know, get that guy's attention and be like, nope, cut that, you know. I would have flipped off the Secret Service guy, and I am not kidding. I'd have flipped him off. Hell with that. When we got somebody like that in the White House that's doing stuff like that, it needs to be filmed. That's why I don't want to hear anybody's bullshit about what they're doing with child sex trafficking and all that. I don't want to hear the bullshit. We know a fair amount of the individuals and or groups that are involved in this, so let's deal with it. This wait around because you pay taxes, so wait around so until somebody else does it, which will never happen. It's ridiculous. At what point are you going to finally just give in to the fact that they're the ones that are controlling it all? We simply can't vote our way out of this. And the longer that we wait to fix the issue, the worse it's going to be, the harder it's going to be. It's already going to be stupid insane. Anyway, sorry. Let me read the article. The U.S. will likely enter recession in the coming year, the Wall Street Journal reported on Monday, citing its latest survey of economists. According to the report, the probability of a recession in the U.S. within the next 12 months is 63%. Okay, we're already in one, but psh. Anyway, up from 49% projected in the previous Wall Street Journal survey in July. I would say that you probably need to replace that word with depression, and you would probably be much more accurate. The economist polled said that risks had increased due to the Federal Reserve's efforts to bring down inflation by hiking the key interest rate. The Fed has raised the federal funds rate by 75 basis points at each of its last three meetings, most recently in September, bringing the rate to 3 to 3.25% range. Over half of the economists surveyed said they expect the Fed to hike rates further and even to do too much, which would destabilize the economy. They expect the country's gross domestic product to contract by 0.2% in the first two quarters of 2023, while in the previous survey they had predicted 0.8% growth during that period. A shrinking economy would be expected to affect the labor market as employers would be forced to cut jobs. Non-farm payrolls are forecast to decline by about 34,000 per month in the second quarter of 2023 and by 38,000 a month in the third quarter. The unemployment rate is expected to rise from the current 3.5% to 3.7% in December and to 4.3% by June 2023. The Federal Reserve is choosing between the lesser of two evils: take a recession with a rise in unemployment today or risk more corrosive and entrenched inflation taking root, Diane Swank of KPMG told the news outlet. On average, the economists expect a recession to be relatively short at around 8 months and the U.S. economy to return to growth by the end of next year. As Dad would say, in one hand and wish in the other. See which one comes first. And I know that was extremely good news. And to continue on with the good news, U.S. recession forecast hits 100%, says Bloomberg. And again, I'm thinking depression is a more accurate term. The U.S. economy is 100% certain to enter a recession in the next 12 months, according to an economic model devised by two Bloomberg economists and run based on 13 unspecified financial indicators on Monday. What's even worse is that the apparently inevitable downturn might come even sooner than that. The model return is a 73% chance it would be hit within 11 months and 25% chance it would arrive within 10. Those outcomes were significantly more grim than the last time Bloomberg ran the model, when it predicted a recession within the year with just 65% certainty. It's definitely gloomier than the predictions of President Joe Biden, who has insisted the U.S. will avoid the recession so many economists seem to think is lurking right around the corner. If there is a recession at all, Biden says, it will be very slight. Like his intelligence and awakeness. Not all experts are certain of the U.S. doom. A survey of 42 economists predicted a 60% likelihood of recession over the next 12 months. However, even their outlook has worsened since their last prediction, which gave the country a 50% chance of escaping the downturn. Another economist poll conducted by the Wall Street Journal on Monday found a 63% likelihood of recession in the U.S. within the year, pointing to the Federal Reserve's interest rate hikes, which have come steep and fast after years with no activity. More than half of those surveyed suggested the central bank would keep increasing rates beyond what was healthy, eventually destabilizing the economy. As if it's stable now. And the other stuff is numbers we've already gone over. Hang on, let me have coffee here. I mean, all these articles came out just today. EU warned of fear and uncertainty this winter, said Wall Street Journal, which is not something we haven't heard already, but Europe could be facing severe problems this winter due to the energy crisis, according to Italy's Minister for Energy Transition, Roberto Cingolani, This will be a winter dominated by fear and uncertainty, barring catastrophes such as extremely cold weather. If we keep consumption in check, we'll get through the winter fine. We just have to hope nothing goes wrong, Singolani told the Wall Street Journal on Sunday. According to the news outlet, European countries are relatively prepared for the heating season, might be for hunting season too, with gas shortages nearly full, but there are too many variables that could tip the energy balance in the region. For instance, a prolonged cold snap could boost energy demand, draining reserves and pushing up prices. Low temperatures in Europe and across the Atlantic could also lead to a contest between the EU and North America for liquefied natural gas supplies. On the other hand, a lack of windy conditions could stall the wind turbines, leading to power outages. Cloudy weather could also reduce solar power generation. For now, according to the EU-funded Copernicus Climate Change Service, the European continent is forecast to see the cold and still weather late this year, followed by milder conditions in early 2023. However, according to Singolani, the energy shortage itself is not the only problem. The real problem isn't shortage but pricing. Citizens may be unable to pay their bills and businesses risk closing down, the minister warned. Italy is one of several EU countries calling for a cap on gas prices, a measure which has sparked much controversy among member states. EU leaders are expected to meet later this week and decide whether or not the measure will be adopted. On Sunday, reports emerged that the European Commission has come up with a mechanism that could cap the price of transactions on the Dutch TTF index, which is a benchmark for all gas traded in Europe. Let me explain how this works as if you don't already know. If Europe, or anyone else for that matter, is willing to pay a higher price for gas than you, guess what? Regardless, you will be paying a higher price. Just remember that. And I would venture to bet the more fuel, the more energy that we export, I would venture to bet will be the more you will have to pay for your domestic energy. Because that's how they do it. I mean, why should they fund shipping it all over there to get a higher rate of exchange for it? That's why it drives me nuts that people want to shield for big energy all the time. Why are we shilling for big energy? Why? Why is nobody saying, wait a minute, we need to decentralize this power grid? You want to secure energy network, whatever you want to call it, in your country? Stop with all the centralization of it. Just stop. There are technologies out there, and for each one of us, there's different things that will work. And guess what? For some of us, there's nothing that will work. But if people would work with that, and if the government would stop just trying to profit, and private industry would be putting profits over people, if people would be moral and ethical and just decent human beings, we could make one hell of a power grid that was decentralized. You wouldn't have anymore. You wouldn't have these big grid systems that can go out. You might have a town might support itself. I mean, how much more secure can you get than that when you have individual towns that are providing their own energy? It makes no sense. And there are technologies out there that go far beyond solar and wind generation. There's all kinds of different stuff out there to tap into. But you don't hear about it because big energy is not going to allow it to get anywhere, to do anything. There's wind towers. There's just and a wind tower. You'll have to go look it up. Yeah, it's not a matter of if. It's like always. Like always. Always. It does not stop. It doesn't matter how much wind there is. Doesn't matter if it's daytime or nighttime. This thing will always draw air through it and power turbines, creating electricity. Always. How come we don't have any of these built? It's not because they don't work. But what was that? Didn't Pelosi get, like, funding for some kind of rail project or something? You know, and you and I both know it will probably never even be followed through on. And if it does, you know. I'm saying we need to be able to have a conversation about this, but we need to get the shills out of the room, away from the conversation table, away from the adults. There are so many different technologies, and the different places that we are, different things would work. For some places, solar would be good. For other places, wind would be good. Some places, there ain't nothing. So maybe one of the towers would work. You know, desert, the towers would be incredible in the desert, right? And then you could turn around and use the energy, some of the energy that's produced from that tower, right? They now have those machines that do a really good job of pulling the moisture out of the air and producing water from the air, from the humidity in the air, regardless of how dry it is. They can do that now, but it takes a lot of power. The same as desalination of water takes a lot of power. Where could we get this non-stop power that we could rely on? I wonder. It's right there. You have to look them up. I might be calling them the wrong thing. I'm calling them wind towers. I can't remember what they call them, but believe me, they work. There's no way for them not to work unless like a tornado comes and knocks them down or something. This doesn't make sense, man. Global economy in worse shape for decades, says former U.S. Treasury chief. And this is the last tab that I have open. Global economy is currently facing the biggest challenges it has seen in 4 decades, according to former U.S. Treasury Secretary Larry Summers. This is one of the most complex, disparate, and cross-cutting set of challenges that I can remember in the 40 years I've been paying attention to such things. Summers said at the Institute of International Finance's annual meeting in Washington. He criticized the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, along with central banks, for underestimating the risk posed by persistently high inflation and failing to act accordingly to battle the crisis. In all honesty, I think the fire department is still in the station. I'm very disappointed in the response, he stated. Summers said that between rising interest rates, a stronger dollar, energy and food shortages, geopolitical tensions, and climate change, somebody should be proposing something substantial to change the situation for the better. He did not elaborate on this further, however. The U.S. Federal Reserve has raised interest rates 5 times so far this year, and other central banks around the world have followed suit. However, Summers says that the regulators waited too long to act on rising prices, and interest rates would have to be hiked further, even if it sends the economy into recession. If you try to avoid that, you just find yourself with a stagflation situation and having to do something harder a little later. But that's got all kinds of collateral consequences for the rest of the world, he warned. One such consequence would be difficulties with financing debt markets, Summers said. He offered recent developments in the UK as an example. The Bank of England launched an emergency government bond buying program last month in response to a sharp drop in bond prices after the announcement of a massive tax cut by the government. What's happened in the United Kingdom, some of that is a self-inflicted wound, but some of that is tremors of what's happening in the global system. And when you have tremors, you don't always have earthquakes, but you probably should be thinking about earthquake protection, he explained. So, my ear, the economy, money and stuff, it's not my strong points, but I'm not naive, and I knew damn well that back in 2008, all they did was kick the can down the road. And same thing with all this COVID crap. They just kicked the can down the road. And then this latest bank bailout, this student, loan debt forgiveness, banker bailout. Yeah, because that's what it was, a banker bailout. I mean, when does it end? When does it end? Huh. It's crazy. Anywho. I had a fair amount of headlines today. Neck killing me. Got a little flying in today. I don't know if I showed this or not. I took a picture in the sim the other day. I posted it myself, but let me get over. I actually set it to my wallpaper desktop. I love that picture. I just got huffed. That's me and Charles on the runway getting ready to take off. I don't remember what airport it was. Yeah. Absolute awesomeness. Actually, hang on. Got a panorama. Yeah, panorama. I got a panorama picture too, if I can say that, of the sky today. Oh, not a magical picture, but not bad either. Other than that, we flew a little bit around Japan today. The last stop happened to be Fukushima. Really didn't plan it that way, but he had time for another short hop, and I got to look and clicked on an airport icon. Sure enough, popped up Fukushima, and I'm like, yep, that's where we gotta go. So my F-22 has been irradiated. Alright, let's see. Japan devises kamikaze plan, says media. Central Kiev hit by kamikaze drones, says mayor. Turkish hub could replace Nord Stream, says Gazprom. Well, the one, my HUD is glowing green. Supposed to do that, though. Let's see. Turkish hub could replace Nord Stream, says Gazprom. NATO kicks off nuclear exercises. Pakistan riled by Biden's nuclear claim. EU mulls capping gas price at biggest trading hub, says media. India to start producing upgraded version of iconic Russian weapon, says an official. EU urged to rethink its China policy, says FT. Partial mobilization completed in Moscow, says mayor. Hundreds of police officers should be sacked, says Scotland Yard. A Brazilian president and challenger trade insults. Typical politicians. Top EU diplomat talks on future financial aid for Ukraine. EU sends monitors to Russian ally. China halts key energy supplies to EU, says Bloomberg. A Russian-led alliance starts military drills. EU warned of fear and I read that one. Moscow comments on striking Ukrainian energy system. Russian regulator pitches full LGBT propaganda ban. Pakistan looks to secure Russian grain deal. Tulsi Gabbard urges Democrats to follow her example. Serbia bans gas exports. Belarus reveals details of Russian forces in the country. Ex-Russian leader issues warning to Israel. Kanye West eyes buying conservative-linked Parler. Oops. Hitting everything. Let's see. Locals in EU country resist plans to house more refugees, says media. A DPR announces new prisoner swap with Ukraine. A plane crash explosion damages apartment building in Russia. U.S. wants prison term for ex-Trump aide. Serbia explains refusal to sanction Russia. U.S. ally astonished by accusations of siding with Moscow. Global economy in worst shape in decades, says former... Oh, I read that one. Duh. Italian industry may grind to a halt without Russian gas, says Tu Messaggero, I believe. Austria won't train Ukrainian troops. Officials reveal death toll from apartment building fire in Russia. Musk compares Crimea to Pearl Harbor. Australia changes stance on Israeli capital. Video showing moment of Russian plane crash emerge. Ukrainians crowdfund mysterious anti-drone weapon. EU beefs up infrastructure protection, says Bloomberg. Germany settles nuclear plant issue. Russian military confirms major prisoner exchange with Ukraine. Let's see. Russia attempts to destroy the West, says EU country spy agency. And that was the last one. Well, that was pretty quick and painless. Kinda. Oh, man. there you got it. Same old, same old. I mean, we're still still sliding down the hill. I just really think we're going to have some cliffs coming up pretty quick. We'll see. We'll see. I'm hoping that within the next 2 months we don't see the energy prices in the United States just go insane. But I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna comment until we get a little, probably closer to the end of next month as to what I think is gonna happen, because these next couple of months are going to be pivotal. And the reason why is because people are going to be starting to heat their homes. And if they're going to gig us, they're going to gig us early on. I'm just saying. These people are ruthless. Don't believe a word of what they're saying as to why you have to pay higher energy costs. Because when the end of the quarter comes around, or the end of whatever period, you're going to hear about their record profits. Well, if you can continually make record profits, then you're gouging people. If a gas station owner gouges people for a gallon of gasoline because the neighborhood was hit by a hurricane, believe me, that usually gets dealt with very heavily, and should be. Problem is, there's those at the top that have been getting away with it for a very, very long time. Again, it stops when we realize that it's only going to stop when we stop it. We're not going to vote our way out of this. We're not going to... None of that's going to work. I don't think we're going to fix this. There's no indication anywhere, including in the Bible, that says we fix this. So it is what it is. Anyway, I am going to get out of here on that happy note. Again, it is what it is. Do your best, That's all that matters, is that you did your best. Nothing else matters. Anyway, I am out of here. I hope you all have a good evening. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for coming. Hope to see you tomorrow night. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.